Okay, so it's the last week of April right now, and you're leaving on Thursday.
Yes,
So
excited.
we're recording the April update or recap. Actually, April recap in April still, even though it's not over yet.
Yeah, to be fair, we have like 2 more days left. I don't think major changes are gonna happen
I
there.
mean, you never know.
You're right, you never know. It's just an assumption.
Yeah, so you're leaving for 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna be here all by myself. So May's gonna be interesting.
May is gonna be interesting. It's just basically you giving an update and me just sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be giving an update in May, and it'll be like me briefing you on what happened while you were gone.
Yeah, it can be a live briefing.
Yeah, let's do that without leaking information. Okay, so April, what went on in April?
Finishing up loose ends so I can leave without leaving you with more work. So
Honestly, I feel like going on holiday is so stressful because you have to do so much work to be able to go on holiday.
yeah, exactly. I had one project to finish and that's done. And other than that, just like small things that, yeah, either accumulated or have to be done on a monthly basis anyways. So there's just little work I'm gonna leave behind. The rest is wrapped up, and that was important to me. Otherwise, I would have been so stressed out on the holidays, and I want to enjoy myself. Fun fact, it's my first holidays, like my first long holidays ever since opening, same, where I did not work at all.
Didn't you go to Thailand?
Oh my god, you're right. It's my second.
You've been
Can you
saying
cut that out?
this? No, but you've been saying this like
You're right, I forgot
every
about that.
day in the last like weeks, and I was like, and I just now, because we were talking about Thailand earlier, I was like, wait a
Yeah,
second, you
you're
went to
right.
Thailand, didn't you? How long were you gone? I can't remember.
I was gone for not quite 2 weeks though.
Yeah, okay, but still, you weren't working when you were there.
No, I was not working.
Yeah.
You were right about that. I don't know why I forgot about that. Sorry for the fake news. Well, this is my first 3 weeks holiday.
Okay.
Which is actually true.
That's true. I feel like, but I mean, not a lot of people go on holiday for that long
No.
at a time.
No, I don't think so either.
So it's kind of unusual in general.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks is about the time you would take off.
Yeah.
Usually. But yeah, flying far away, it makes more sense to do like a longer holidays, and I'm super happy that we can allow ourselves that.
Yeah, definitely. No, once you're over there, you want to look at as much as you can because you know you're not going to be there again
Yeah, or not so
very soon.
not so soon again. Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, that's a bit. So that's basically the first time I'm away for 3 weeks and like a really long holiday. I'm kind of nervous to leave work.
I know. So I came in today and I see this one of our laptops charging, a laptop that nobody uses, and I'm like, I already knew what it was. I was like, didn't even have to ask you. And I'm like, what is this laptop doing here?
Then I confessed.
Yeah, you wanted to take the laptop with you.
Yeah, I don't know, just for emergencies. But then
There
of
is
course-
no emergency. Oh my
I
God.
know that-
You
that's-
were on this podcast telling people all the time, there's no graphic design emergency. And now you're sitting here like, oh, I'll take the laptop with me just in case.
Yeah, I'm toxic. What can I say? I'm like,
I think you're a workaholic.
I might be. No, I'm more like an anxious person. I don't think I'm a workaholic. Not anymore.
I think when you're in Japan and you're doing all the stuff you do there, you're not going to be thinking about work.
No, probably not.
You will really like have a time to forget about all of it.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that.
And the good thing is that the emails hit you when you're asleep.
And super like
So you can't
delayed.
even react to them.
Yeah.
Because you're awake. Wait, when you're awake, I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And the US is like having their evening after work time.
Yeah.
So our clients and same in Vienna won't be doing anything while you're awake.
Also, I'm gonna be super delayed.
And
Even
then
if
you'll
an
be-
email comes in, I would only respond super delayed because of the time difference.
Yeah, and then like when we're up doing stuff, it's like afternoon for you.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're completely right. It's
And the
just
US is still sleeping. So by the time you go to sleep, the US is only just waking up and like getting ready to go. You're never going to be able to talk to the clients. I'm telling you, it's not even possible.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I was in Japan last time we wanted to schedule a call?
Oh.
And then it was like super complicated because it would have been like either 12 p.m. for you or a.m. Like it would have been midnight for you.
Oh, yeah,
Or
I
it would have been
remember.
like really
Yeah.
early in the morning for me. Like it was impossible.
I remember, but you said you would wake up because it was an important call.
Yeah, I
and
would have done
remember,
it.
but I think it would have been like 5 or around 5 a.m.
It would have
for
been
me.
5 a.m. for me, yeah.
Yeah, dedication.
Yeah.
See, sometimes you gotta be like
Yeah, but
available.
you can do a call on your phone. You won't even have to take a laptop with you.
That's true. So yeah, well. Anyways, enough holiday talk. I'm not gonna take a laptop with me, so
Good.
that's cleared up.
I'm throwing it out so you can't.
Yeah,
I'm taking it. I'm going to take it with me.
I'm not gonna take it. Don't worry.
Okay.
And yeah, so what else happened in April? Except that I'm going on holiday soon.
We had our first guests on the podcast. We actually even published one of the episodes already.
Yeah, I mean, second guest technically.
Yeah, okay, but first guests in this new era of the podcast.
True. Yeah.
So we had so up until now, like this last episode, we had only ever had one person come up
Yeah.
to talk to us on the podcast, and that's our most listened to episode. Probably because Charlotte, who is our guest, has a big following.
She has a big following and cool personality too.
Yeah, and I
To
think
listen to.
she does talks too. So like I think a lot of people like to hear from her. But I think that people also just like to get different perspectives, and guests do bring in a more interesting dynamic than just the two of us all the time.
Yeah, to be fair, we have explored our dynamic in, I don't know, like
But I
70
don't think-
episodes.
I don't think it means we always have to have a guest, but because I mean there are podcasts out there where it's just one person talking and it's always the same person talking. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to
I
be.
know.
It's not like we would run out of things to talk about. I just think that part of our podcast is about running a business as someone who didn't learn to do that, and I think also as someone who is creative. So going into it, we're like thinking about the creativity and thinking about the execution, and a lot of us forget that we're running a business and you have to think of all that business stuff. And the people we're inviting onto the podcast, I think, have similar backgrounds.
Yeah, I think none that we have talked to had any business background.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people also didn't realize going into what they were doing that it would then become what it became.
Yeah, that has been like a common predominator, no?
Denominator.
Thank you. Amongst all of the guests we've had so far.
Yeah, so this new era of the podcast is to invite people up who are actually, all of them are up until now have been doing something quite different to what we're doing, but the thing that connects us is that we're all creatives, that we're all running a creative business. And yeah, questions that we've asked our guests are things like, one, like how did you end up where you are now, but then also, you know, did you struggle in certain things like the topics that we talk on the podcast, like pricing, positioning, and all those things. So it's been interesting to talk to people about some of the similar topics that we've talked about on the podcast and get their perspective on it.
Yeah, and I don't think that there are a lot of interviews out there where you ask like these personal financial questions.
Yeah.
And they're super insightful.
Yeah, it's very transparent, similar to what we've been doing, just with a third person now.
Yeah, and I'm also extremely happy that people open up with those information, because that can be difficult, and not everyone is open to share that information with us. So it's been super cooperative.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 2 people.
Yeah.
But they've both been very down to earth, very transparent. And yeah, it's just like very casual conversations similar to the ones we have, the 2 of us. And I think that's been interesting and also a new challenge for us. Because I think initially when we started the podcast, it was challenging for you to the speaking and stuff. And for me, I think it's challenging because I had to figure out all of the technical stuff of it.
Yeah.
And also editing and all that. But now that's become very second nature, at least my part. I don't know how you feel about the talking.
Better when it's only the two of us. Better.
Yeah, so now we have the new challenge of having to interview someone.
Yeah. That was more challenging than I expected it to be for myself.
What I find the most challenging for me is, and this might sound weird to some people, but it's like the playing that role in front of another person, because I think when it's just the two of us, I don't really feel like I need to make an effort to be super positive or like be happy. Like I don't have to, like, even if I'm in a bad mood, I can still talk. I can still make a podcast episode.
You don't have to mask.
I don't have to mask. But then when there's a third person there, I feel like I have to mask more. Like I can't let that slip. Like I have to be positive. I have to, and it's not that I'm being fake or something. Like obviously I'm happy they're there. But like the first interview we had, like we were both not well that day. Like
no, we're doing super bad that day,
like
both of us.
Mentally, just because we had both had like a really stressful social weekend, and then to have to be social again, and then again you had to be social in a certain way. I feel like when it's somebody you have as a guest, you're hosting it, you have to lead, you have to be the one to keep them engaged.
Yeah, the challenge
motivated.
wasn't the person itself. The challenge was everything around it.
Exactly. It's like
she was really great.
No, she was amazing because
so
she
thankful.
Talked so much, and I felt like I had to do hardly anything, and I was so thankful for that, because I think that it's probably more difficult if you have a guest who isn't very talkative.
No, she was great. I feel like she actually took a lot of work off of our shoulders. Because she was also answering questions that I wrote down as a next question, which was cool in a way. I didn't have to ask them, but also suck in the way that, oh no, I wrote down this question and now I have to come up with another question. Because while you're actively listening, you also have to, like, I write down pointers for myself so I don't forget them. But you have to listen, you have to think of the next question, you have to make it flow. You have to maybe even interrupt. You have to steer the conversation to the direction that makes sense in a storytelling perspective. It's a lot to do while you are talking.
Yeah, it's so much work, and it's like a lot of things happening at once.
And I feel like also when we're just talking with each other, and I don't know, there's like a pause, or I don't know, just something coming up, we will record it. Of course, it's also possible with the guest, but I feel like it's a more awkward position.
Yeah, it would be awkward too if you like ask a question and you're like, wait, let me ask that again. Like, I don't know. You want it to be like an authentic conversation.
An authentic conversation, and I know I hate that word, but also somewhat professional.
Yeah.
You don't want to like sit there like, that seems like, okay, what are you doing here?
Oh my God, let's talk about the technical difficulties we had on the first one.
Yeah,
that was also embarrassing AF because... Because you mentioned professional, and I remember like when we were setting up everything for the guests to come on, I was like, we need to set this up now, we need to test this, we need this to be professional. I don't want them to think like, I mean, it is our first guest since Charlotte, and when Charlotte was on, we were in general not very like, we didn't have that many episodes yet, so I feel like there was less expectation for it to be super like organized. Plus she's a friend of yours.
She's a friend of mine, so we could have done all those things because we have this interpersonal relationship, but with the other guests we didn't know her. We got to know her during the podcast, and
so it was just, I just didn't want her to think we're like, I mean, we are chaotic, but I didn't want her to know that. And then, so when she came on, it was chaos because of the technical difficulties. Our internet is just so shit here. It's so embarrassing.
It was better the other time.
It was better yesterday when we recorded the second guest.
I'm really sad that the video didn't work out for the first episode, because what I was also missing was seeing her while she was talking. And I think the other way around, it was also missing for her seeing us while she was talking. Put both of us, or in this case all three of us, into this position of, you don't see the other person nodding, you don't see the social cues, you just like hear someone talking.
I also think
I mean, I know this because that's why it was so difficult for me, is when I see somebody talking, you can see when they're starting to end their point.
Yes.
Whereas when you don't see them talking, I'm not able to hear that. Like, I don't hear that someone is coming to the end of their thought. Whereas when you see them talking, you usually see their eyes are wandering, they're like they're thinking while they're talking, and then when they're like done with their point, they'll usually like look towards you as like a cue, like, okay, it's your turn to talk now. And that was missing too. So it was like, that was difficult for us. It was like being on a phone call, and I always struggle on a phone call to know, like, okay, is it now my turn to talk? Do I interrupt? Are they listening to me? Do they still hear me?
Yeah, I think that was another thing. I don't know, like those things were quite chaotic. So really sorry, Marietta.
Yeah, Marietta. If
Shout
you're
out.
listening, you
Yeah.
did so well. We're just, yeah, we're still learning.
It was us and not you.
But I still think the episode turned out really well. And when I listened back to it, I felt like it was very insightful. And again, very thankful for her for being just someone who can talk about her work in the way that she did.
She did so well.
Because it saved that episode, because we were so bad. Like I said, like I feel like I was surprised at that I was able to ask questions that made sense, because in the moment I felt like I was just like, I was listening to her and I was thinking of questions to ask, but then every time I asked a question I felt like, wait, did that even make sense just now? But then listening back, it actually did. It was fine. I think it was just like the whole situation of, I was stressed about the internet. So I was stressed like that, is the episode even recording? The whole time I was like, is the episode even recording properly?
No.
Then I was stressed about the fact we couldn't see her, she couldn't see us. Then I was stressed about the fact that I just wasn't doing well that day in general.
Yeah, that's such a pity.
It was just like all this stuff came together. I was like, oh my god, this is so bad. But it ended up not being bad at all. The episode is good.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. And
I think when you sit there, at least from my perspective, when I sat there on that day and I was really not doing a good, like I was really not doing well, first of all, and second of all, it also reflected in how I was talking and what questions I was asking and how I was, in my tone of voice, I guess. And just really, I was like, why am I back to where I started the podcast? And that annoyed me bad, because I feel like I've come such a long way talking to the microphone, just talking in general. And that just really gave me kind of a bad feeling while I was doing it. And it kind of discouraged me even more in that moment.
yeah.
The second time, I also struggled a little bit, but I didn't let it get to me. So in that case, I was just like shrugging it off and being like, whatever, next question is going to be better. Or next time I say something is going to be better. I can't let it discourage me if I make a mistake. And the first time I was being too hard on myself, and that blocked me completely.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we need to learn, which I think we did better in the second. I mean, I feel like in the first episode, I was talking the most.
I was just like there.
But I just felt like I had to, because I just sensed that you weren't in it. So I was like, I'll just like carry this. But then
I'm thankful for that.
But then the second episode, I feel like it was more balanced. And I think that that's just something that we also need to work on, is just the balance of me speaking versus you speaking. It's difficult when it's three guests, because of that back and forth is a bit different, because it's not like it's just different, because it's an interview format, but it's also like a conversation format, and it just makes it, sometimes I want to answer something and then sometimes you want to answer something. So it's just kind of like we need to learn a little bit more about, okay, when does it make sense for me to comment on it, or should we both comment on it? Like, those are just things we still need to practice.
Or who asks the question. I think in the second one, we were both, I don't know why I was expecting you to ask, because I felt like you were ready to ask a question, and I think you were expecting me to ask a question, and we were both like, for a second, like, wait a second, none of us is asking a question.
I think in the second one, I was trying to leave it open to you asking, because I felt like I took over the first episode. I feel like every time I listen to the episode, I feel like I'm always interrupting you anyway. So with the interviews, I was trying to give you space to ask questions.
No,
so I'm not always the one talking.
I feel like it was balanced the second time.
Yeah, I also felt like it was balanced, but I haven't listened to it yet, so.
No, but from the feeling of it all, like the first time I knew that you were asking most of the questions, and I was like asking 3 questions, and I was still struggling.
Yeah.
So, and this time, like last time, it was different. So I noticed that too. I'm pretty sure it's very balanced.
Okay, we'll see. I mean, I'll listen to it probably tomorrow and then we'll know.
And then let me know. But
I mean, it's gonna go online before. It'll probably go online next week, and then the April update recap after, or to maybe first the April recap. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but
okay, maybe after, because then people can listen to both episodes and paint their own picture.
So this episode should come out after.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that's
Because
a
then
good
they
idea.
have also kind of the comparison between both episodes, and then they can relate more to what we talk about here, or they can not relate more but understand more what we talk about here.
Yeah, true. So this will be a bit of a behind the scenes of the last 2 episodes in that case.
Yeah.
Anyways, was there anything else that happened in April? I feel like these guests were kind of the thing in terms of the mental load. For me was the main event in April.
Yeah, for me too. I mean, finishing the projects, that's always a good feeling.
Yeah.
But those have been on the finishing line for, I don't know, probably since, I wouldn't say start of April, but kind of.
Yeah, I finished the one project that was taking up all my time in March.
Yeah, I think it
it was at
finished at the same time.
I think it was at the beginning of April, and there were like some loose ends that needed tying up, but that's pretty much done. Like done now. So
I've had the same. I think we kind of finished at the same time.
yeah.
So it was also for me just a mental thing of leaving, preparing everything, and then I don't even know what I was doing now looking back. It always feels like not so much.
You wrote a newsletter.
I wrote a newsletter.
You wrote your first newsletter.
I did that, yeah. No, we did some, I don't know. I can't really recall. I know that I was in the projects most of the time, and the rest was like small things.
Yeah, we
every
did
now and
some
then.
brainstorming this month about some internal things that we can do.
Yeah, we
like
did a lot of
internal
that.
projects.
We did a lot of internal planning, financial planning.
Yeah, organizational management
Yeah,
stuff.
that also happened this year. Yeah, that was also
This year.
Sorry, this month. Help, thank you.
Hopefully it happens this year.
No, but yeah, you're right. We did that too.
a lot of financial planning, bank stuff again.
Yeah, just business things.
That take up so much more time than you expect them to.
Yeah, I mean, also super interesting to hear the guests talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't surprise me at all. I don't want to spoil. No, it's not a spoiler because this is coming on after. I think it's funny that everyone said the same thing that we always say. Like, it takes up so much time to do all this stuff around like the execution or whatever the business is.
Yeah, it is.
And everyone's doing like 10 jobs. It's also very relatable.
Yeah, and even though everyone's doing different things, I feel like at the core, the same things are happening on the business side, and that's so interesting to hear.
Definitely.
Yeah, so curious.
And another thing I thought was cool about the interviews so far is that I felt after each one, I felt super inspired.
That's true.
Which is so interesting because I feel like I don't get a lot of inspiration from... I'm not someone who gets inspiration from looking at art or like looking at even websites we do. Like the stuff that we do, so like websites or design. If I look at stuff, I'm not like inspired to create my own, you know. But having these conversations about business and stuff, I suddenly felt inspired by that. I don't know why. It's like to do like something again, like something new, like a new project. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe because of the different perspective, and everyone's doing, it was so different what they were doing, like both of them, if you think about it.
Yeah.
But for example, the last guest, Sebastian, he's like juggling 1 million things, and he's like still like, even though he's overworked and everything, he's like, what can I do next? What can I do next?
Yeah.
And that spark kind of like, when, I don't know, like, how do you say Alush? That spark kind of like died.
Yeah.
A few years back, in me at least. And it's so great to see to hear other people's spark. And it kind of ignites your own a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So that's also been cool.
Okay, so if you could give April a rating out of 1 to 10, what would it be?
8? I think 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 because the first interview kind of, made me spiral. So not because of the guests, but because of my own performance and the kind of like, I don't know, I definitely got like anxious, and I had all these anxious feelings back that I had when we started the podcast.
Okay, wow. It really triggered something in you.
Yeah, it really triggered something in me. Other than that, it's overall positive, but I'm always like, because of the anxiety, I'm deducting 1 point. And I'm always deducting 1 point because I feel like, I don't know, it could always be a little bit better. And yeah, I want to leave the 10 out of 10 for something really exciting.
Okay, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm only deducting a 0.5 for it not being... Wait, why am I even deducting 1 point?
I don't know.
I guess 1 point because I still had at the beginning of April, still a lot of like execution stuff to do, which was stressful. Like a lot of little things too for one of our clients. And that was annoying. And then 0.5 for it not being the greatest month ever.
Okay, that's for me always 1 point.
No, for me it's 0.5 because I feel like there were a couple of things that happened in April where I was like, thank God. And that was good. Like we had our bookkeeping stuff, like the tax return for 2023 and 2024, where it's always like, are you going to pay something? Or are you going to get something back? And then it was like, usually you pay, and usually it's like, oh my God, now I have to pay like 10,000 euros. And it wasn't that. It was like, oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So that was like very positive for me.
Honestly, I forgot about that. Wow, I'm just like, my mind.
Even like for the company itself, like
you are
we
right.
had we have a huge amount of money plus on our account, meaning we don't have to pay anything for those 2 years, and that's such a relief.
Yeah, okay. I'm taking back what I said. I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
And that's super important. And that's something I call a really good month.
Okay.
Something like genuinely crazy happens in a sense of either getting clients or landing a new project or something like this.
Yeah.
I feel like that grants for a really, really good month. So
Yeah.
I'm deducting, in this case, okay, wait. Since that was so positive, I'm actually only deducting 0.5 because of my anxiety.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it kind of like balances it out. So
9.5.
9.5.
Okay, damn. Well, April
Yeah.
lit then.
April was lit.
Okay.
I can say that.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Never Went to Business School. Don't forget to follow us here on Spotify. And if you enjoy our content, check out our YouTube channel for more educational videos and subscribe to our newsletter on Substack.